The Silent Scourge. Occasionally, in the darkest corners of the world where civilization barely touches ancient secrets, tragedies unfold that challenge the very foundations of reason. Such was the event that plunged me to the brink of madness, into a village lost in the mists of China's ancient dust, where death wove its cloak around innocent souls.
My name is Dr. Lin, a young idealist doctor sent by fate, or perhaps a curse, to a remote Chinese village known as Wulin. It was a brisk early evening when I arrived. The air hung heavy, saturated with humidity and the pervasive scent of stale rice and ancient mud. With my first breath, a disquiet settled upon my soul, as if the very earth whispered a warning of impending horror. The villagers, their faces etched by time and the drudgery of working in the rice paddies, received me with silent suspicion. Their eyes, once perhaps alight with life, now seemed vacant, brimming with unspoken suffering, testifying to past pains that had pierced their souls like a cold wind. The children, usually boisterous and full of energy, huddled close to their parents with an inexplicable dejection, their laughter muted, almost inaudible.
I soon understood the cause of their gloomy mood. An incomprehensible scourge was sweeping through the village, targeting its most fragile victims, the children. The cases mounted with alarming speed, each passing day bringing fresh cases, new cries, new deaths. I remember little Li Mei. She was only 6 years old, but her face was wrinkled with pain, as if she had lived through centuries. Her breathing was shallow and labored, a relentless breathlessness tormenting her with the slightest exertion. Each breath was punctuated by a quiet, heartbreaking wheeze. Her small hands and feet were alarmingly swollen, her skin taut and glistening, as if water pooled relentlessly within her. Her pulse was in erratic, pounding rhythm, palpable even through the soft skin of her chest, as if her heart danced a perilous jig with death. Sometimes nausea and vomiting also plagued her, further debilitating her and leaving her with an empty stomach and tear-filled eyes. Fever appeared only sporadically, but when it struck, it was debilitating, though it rarely reached the heights typical of common infections. Worst of all, however, was the persistent fatigue and profound weakness that confined them to their beds, draining them of all strength. Li Mei was just one of many. I watched their suffering with a helpless, gnawing despair. Little bodies convulsed with fever, although the fever itself was not the dominant symptom. Their eyes, once bright as morning dew, dimmed with pain and dread, losing their childlike luster. Every breath was a desperate struggle, every whisper a silent prayer. Parents, their faces etched with helpless grief, clung to their children's bedsides, their guttural wails piercing the night air and lacerating my soul. To witness them gazing blankly at their dying children, holding their fading hands, was a torment worse than death itself. Their despair was contagious, seeping deep into my bones, denying me sleep. Each day brought fresh tidings of death. Another family plunged into inconsolable grief. I could feel my soul fragmenting. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Exhausted and desperate, I explored every possible cause. I slept only a few hours a day, with my mind constantly occupied with the mystery. The microscope under my hands revealed only a mysterious void. No bacillus, no virus, nothing to confirm a normal infectious epidemic. I turned over books, studied old files on exotic diseases, sent samples to distant laboratories hoping for an answer, but none came. I spent sleepless nights, wandering the village like a ghost, haunted by the cries of mothers and the silent sighs of dying children. I felt my hope slowly slipping away, replaced by a cold blanket of madness. I was a doctor, sworn to heal, and yet I just watched helplessly as life leaked out of these small, fragile bodies. That helplessness tormented me more than the physical pain. My mind was a labyrinth of desperate hypotheses, none of which led to a resolution. I told myself that I was failing, that I was incompetent, and this feeling was slowly destroying me. I was becoming more and more closed off, tired of explaining that I didn't know why their children were dying. Their blank stares haunted me even in the few hours I tried to sleep. And then, in the darkest moment, when I had almost succumbed to hopelessness, a sudden enlightenment pierced my despair. Why did this disease appear only in this particular area? Why Wu Lin? Was there something inherently local about it? Something in the environment that eluded my normal diagnostic methods? I decided to examine the very soil, the very water, even the diet of the villagers with uncertain hope. I took samples of rice, vegetables, even water from the wells, knowing it was just a shot in the dark, a last desperate effort. And then came the answer, a whisper of wind that turned despair into wonder.